Hi and welcome to today's tutorial. Today I'm going to show how I knitted this sweater for my boyfriend. So if you'd like to see how I did that, just keep on watching. So here is the yarn that I used. I used some acrylic yarn, 100% acrylic, as you can see right here. And I used a needle that is 3.5 millimeter. And this is a circular needle. So now we're going to start off with casting on our stitches. And here I'm just going to show you the way that I cast on stitches, but you can do it however you have learned it, but that is totally up to you. But first I do make a little knot. Like this, and I do it so I have quite some yarn on both sides of the knot, if that makes sense. Just like this. And then I do this with my fingers. And then I just catch on the stitches like this. And for this project and for this specific yarn and measurement, I did a total of 100 stitches. This is what it's going to look like. So just go on until you have 100 stitches. And this sweater is a size large. So here I have it. So you can see it's a bit tight on this knitting needle because it's a bit long, but that won't really matter because in a short while we're going to make some more stitches. So it's just here in the beginning it's going to be a little tight to knit. But now we're going to knit the rib, and this sweater is knitted from the top and down. So we're going to do 2 knit stitches, and this is what I'm doing here. And then we do 2 purl stitches. Just like that. And then you just want to repeat that sequence all the way around. That is what's going to create the rib lines. That is this specific pattern. So I'm just going to continue repeating that with 2 knit stitches and 2 purl stitches. Like this. So just go ahead and finish this first round. All the way back to this little thread. This is the tail where we know where our round is starting. So for the next row and the next many rows, you're just going to do knit stitches above knit stitches and purl stitches above purl stitches. And here I figured out I could just pull out my needle so it wouldn't be as tight, because that made it so much easier to knit. So we do knit stitches above knit stitches and purl above purl. Like this, and here you can see the lines are beginning to form. So you're just gonna go ahead and make a lot of rows with this pattern. I did a total of 36 rows, but you could do how many you prefer, how long you long. It is just about how long you want the neckline to be, the turtleneck. So here I've done with my 36 rounds, and this is what it looks like. And now I'm just putting in a little white thread just to know where my rounds start. So now I'm going to make a round with just normal knit stitches, as you can see me doing here. And in this round, for every 10 stitch, I make a new stitch. So at the end of this round, we're going to have 110 stitches. So we have 10 new stitches. And here is how I do that. So I just twist the yarn around and just go ahead and knit the next stitch. So we have an additional loop on our knitting needle. Just gonna show you once again. That's what it is. So just go ahead and turn it around and just knit the next stitch. So you can see we have an extra loop on our needle, and that is our new stitch. Just go ahead and repeat that for this round. So now the first round is done, and I have 10 new stitches. So in this next round, we're just going to knit all our 110 stitches, and I'm just going to show you how you knit a new stitch. So just knitting knit stitches. We're just going to knit stitches for the rest of this project. So here you can see I have the new stitch that we just made in the previous round. So you're just gonna go in under from the front side, like this, to create a little X, and then you're just gonna pull the yarn through that. And I'm just gonna show you one more time. So here I have a new stitch, so go in from the front side to pull out a little X. Like this, and then you pull the yarn through that, and then you just knit on. And you're gonna do that for this entire round. So now here I put in some extra white threads, and that is just my round count thread. So you can see here I've written the numbers on the screen. You're gonna have 14 stitches marked, and then you have 37, and then you have 14 again and 37 again. So it is mirrored. What you do, it is exactly the same. And then I'm going to show you what you're going to do when you knit and come close to these threads, because this is where we're going to make new stitches for the next rounds. So now here, this little right thread is just where my round starts. So until I get over to the next white thread, I'm just going to knit stitches. Just like this. So now one stitch before the white thread, as you can see here, we make a new stitch and knit the next stitch like this. So now we're going to knit the next stitch on the other side of the white thread and make another new stitch. So we have 2 new stitches, as you can see here. And you're going to do this for the entire round to all of the 4 long white threads. So just go ahead and repeat that what we just did. Just knit normal knit stitches, and when you get to a long white thread, then you're going to do 2 new stitches like I just showed you. So for the next round, we're just going to knit every stitch. So that means we're also going to knit our new stitches, but not make any more new. So here I just knit all the way to the white thread. So here I'm knitting the new stitches like I showed you before. Just gonna pull in from the front side so that make a little X, and then pull the yarn through just like that. And then you're just gonna continue doing this all the way around. So I'm just going to show you once again what we do with the new stitches on each side of the white threads. Just like this. So now you're just going to knit this round done. And when you're done with this round, you're just going to repeat these 2 steps. So in every other row, you're going to make 2 new stitches on each side of the 4 long white threads, and then in each other round, you're just going to knit all stitches. So just repeat the 2 steps that we just did, and you want to repeat that for the next about 24 centimeters. So until your work from the rib edge, it's about 24 centimeters long. You're just going to knit this exact pattern. So 2 new in every other row. So now I'm done with doing it, and this is what it looks like. You can see I have a lot of stitches now. So this is where my round starts. And now I'm just going to knit over to the part of stitches that additionally was 14. So that is one of the shorter pieces. It is in 4 sections now. So you're going to knit over to one of your smaller sections. And that's what I'm doing here. And then when we get in the middle, and I'm not making any new stitches anymore. So now here, when I get in the middle like this, I'm going to take a needle. So on the other side of the line, there's my small section. So I'm going to take a needle with a thread on it, and here I have yellow, and I'm going to grab all of the stitches in this section. And this section is going to become a sleeve later on. So I'm just going to grab all of these stitches onto our thread. And we're just gonna go until we are in the middle again of the 2 lines, just like when we started, as you can see here. That is the last stitch that I'm going to grab onto this thread. So now you can just take off the needle, and then I'm going to tie the 2 ends of the yellow threads together, because we're not going to be needing that for a while. So now this thread is holding our stitches. And now I'm just going to continue knitting. But first I'm going to cast on 8 new stitches. So this is how I do that. So these stitches are going to be right under your arm. So right under your armpit is where these 8 stitches are going to be on the sweater. So when you have your 8 new, you're just going to continue knitting on the other side like this, just with knit stitches. And then you're going to knit all the way to the other small section of your work, which was 14 stitches additionally. And then you're going to do the exact same as we just did here. So put them on a thread and do 8 new stitches. And I'm going to meet you back up when I've done that. So knit all the way over to the next section, which is one of the other small sections, and put them on a thread and do 8 new stitches. So here I have done that, and I'm just showing you the measurements. So this is like how this is how wide it is. Some of my stitches just fell out. And this is how big my sleeve is. And it's going to be a little bit bigger than this because we did the 8 new stitches, which I can't really measure them right now. But just so you get an idea of how large it's going to be. So now we're not going to do any more new stitches. We're just going to knit all of the stitches that we now have on our needle. So that is the 2 large sections, which were 37 stitches and our new 8 stitches. So here for the first round of that part of the sweater, I'm just knitting the 8 new stitches for the first time. It can be a little tight here the first time you're going to knit them, but after this round you're not going to have any problems with knitting them. So this is what it looks like, the new 8. So you're just gonna knit this entire round just with knit stitches and just do the exact same with when you reach the 8 new one on the other side, so under the next sleeve. So here you can see the form, the shape is beginning. This too is going to be the new sleeves, and this is the stomach back section, front and back. So you're just gonna knit all the stitches round and around until you have something that looks like this. So I have no idea how many rounds that I did, but under the arm, under our new 8 stitches, it is about 41 centimeters long. But you can make it how long you want it to be. That totally depends on your body and your body type. So now here, just gonna make a new round count thread. So now we're going to do some rib stitching, just like when we started. So that is 2 knit and 2 purl stitches to make the bottom edge. But before we can knit the rib stitch, we're going to make a round where we increase 45 new stitches. As you can see me doing here, this is our new stitches. So I think I do about 6 stitches and then I do a new stitch. And you're gonna do that 45 times, or that is what I did. And now we can knit our rib stitch. So that is 2 knit stitches and 2 purl stitches. And then just repeat that sequence sorry, all the way around, and also in our new stitches. like this. This is what it's going to look like. And again, you just want to do knit stitches above knit stitches and purl stitches above purl stitches. And that is how you're going to do the bottom edge of this sweater. You can see the lines here. So now you can just continue doing this until your edge is as long as you want it to be. Mine is about 9 centimeters. As you can see here. So now I'm just going to close up all of the stitches. So what I do is I knit 2 stitches and then I pull the back one over the next one, as you can see me doing here. And you're just going to repeat this all the way around until all of your stitches is closed. So you're going to do that all the way around, and then you're going to cut the thread and just pull it. So that I've done here, and I've also knitted the first sleeve. So now I'm going to show you how you're going to knit the sleeves. So first here, you're going to take your knitting needle and just take all of the stitches that is on the yellow thread and just hook them onto your knitting needle. And that's what I'm doing here. Just going to grab all of these stitches and do that all the way around like this. And when you have all of them, you can just open up your thread and just pull it out. Like that. So now we're going to attach our yarn. So now we have 8 new stitches down here, as we made a little while ago, but we're going to do 2 extra stitches. So we're going to grab 10 new stitches. And the reason why we do 10 and not 8 in this first round is just so there won't be any little gaps. So that is why we're going to do 2 extra. So here I'm just pulling up my 10 stitches. You're just going to go through and just pull the yarn through. Just like this. So now we're going to knit all our stitches here in the sleeve, just with knit stitches. So here I'm just pulling out my needle, and I'm just going to do knit stitches for this first round. And here I'm going to use the yellow thread right in the middle of our new 10 stitches. And this is where we're going to do decreases, just following this line, so we know they're going to be in a straight line and just right under our arm. So now we're just almost done with knitting the first round, but we're going to do 2 decreases, and that is to close the extra stitch that we made in each side to close the little gaps. So I just did 1 decrease. So then I'm going to knit 3 stitches and then 3 more. And then I'm also going to do 1 more decrease by knitting 2 stitches together, just like that. So now we have the 8 new stitches that we needed under the arm. So now we're just going to knit 2 more rounds, so we have about a centimeter knitted over the yellow thread. And now we're going to decrease, so that means knitting 2 stitches together like this. And we're going to do that twice. You're going to do it on each side of the yellow thread. And what I like to do is I take the thread and I put it in between it every time I do a decrease, just so I know when I did it the last time. So here, just gonna knit these two together like this. This is what it looks like. And just knit the last 2 stitches of this round. And then we are done with the first round of decreasing. So now you would just want to do about 6 rounds, so about 2.5 centimeters after your last decrease, as you can see here, before you do another decrease. So for me that was about 6 rounds, but that really depends on your yarn. So about 2.5 centimeters, you can just go ahead and measure before we do a decrease again. So here I do a decrease and I take the yellow thread between my decreases so I can keep track in how many I've done and that I keep the right distance. Just like that. So that is actually just how you're going to knit the sleeve. So you're gonna do this decrease for 15 times. So you're gonna have 17 decreases in total. So here is my other sleeve. I just kept in the yellow thread so I could show you. Here you can see I did a total of 16 decreases. So it adds 15 with the distance of 2.5 centimeter. And beside that, you're just gonna knit around and around. So that is what you're gonna do 15 times. And when you reach to that point, you're just gonna do normal knit stitches, but I'm gonna show you that in a second. So now we're done with the total of 16 decreases, and you can just count that by counting all of your yellow threads, in points and out points. So now we're just gonna do the rest, and that is just knitting around for about an additional 20 centimeters. So when you knit it 20 centimeters, just knit stitching all the stitches like this. You're gonna do the little rib edge. Now we want to make sure you have an equal number of stitches before starting to knit the rib stitching. So I did a decrease of 2 stitches, and then I did my knit stitches with 2 knit and 2 purl stitches for about 16 rounds, and then I just closed off the stitches, as you can see here on the sleeve that I already done. And then you can just cut the thread when you're done with closing them up. And you can also make this longer or shorter if you want to. And when you're done with this step, your sweater is completely done. So thank you so much for watching. It means everything to me that you tune in on my channel. Please consider to subscribe if you haven't done already. And see you next time. Bye.